Welcome. This is an analysis of a problem that I've noticed people keep encountering when using the MagicDraw SysML and Cameo tool to extend the SysML Block stereotype. Please note this is a presentation by Webel IT, not from the tool developers. It's highly recommended that you read these MagicDraw help pages. If you are watching this video, you've likely already played with Stereotypes. We will be looking at customizations during the video. Note that those help pages are about UML, and we're looking at a specific SysML case, namely extending a SysML block stereotype. Okay, so first some disclaimers. This is not a tutorial. It's an analysis of a subtle and somewhat advanced topic. It's also not about an actual bug or issue with MagicDraw or Cameo. It is, however, something you may encounter if you simply create your stereotype and apply it naively. Therefore, I'm deliberately going to do the wrong thing. I'm going to show you what a lot of people tend to do when they first try to extend the block stereotype. And then, at the end, we'll look at how to do it properly. This is a quick investigation of consequences of applying stereotypes that extend existing metaclasses or stereotypes in MagicDraw version 19 Service Pack 2, and applies also to Cameo Systems Modeler, of course. Now, in this demonstration, I'm deliberately going to do some things that are not advised, just to show the consequences. Let's look at the setup. I have here a profile, and we're going to have an extension firstly of class. So that is an extension which is similar to generalization but has the specific purpose of bridging between stereotypes and metaclasses. And we have a diagram here, apply class, where we're going to apply that to a couple of different classes. The block already is an extension of class for SysML, and we're going to have the stereotype extends block, which has a generalization to block. Now, for the moment, I'm not putting any properties on here, so that we're not worrying about tagged values as metadata. We're just looking at application of the stereotypes themselves. And importantly, note we are initially deliberately doing this without any MagicDraw customization elements, just to see how it works in isolation of customization. Now, let's go to apply class. What we're going to do is we're going to set up some applications of the stereotype. And this is a little different from the SysML case. What we're going to do is just go extends class and call it special class. Now, because extends class extends the UML meta class directly, we're not really comparing the situation with SysML at all. But I'm just going to leave it in there just so we can see what happens. All right, let's go to similar thing for apply block. Now, what we're going to do here is two separate cases. We're going to do applied extension and block. So it's already stereotyped as block. As you can see, if you look at the list of stereotypes, you see it is in fact stereotyped by block, which is where all the SysML magic happens. And we're going to apply extends block. So it now has two stereotypes applied. We then create a block where we're going to do it slightly differently. we're going to select extends block, but we're also going to remove the second one. So we'll call that applied extension only. All right, so let's save the project, and we're going to close it, reopen it, and see what happens. Okay, I've closed that project. Let's open the project again. All right, so firstly, just to test that nothing strange has happened with this, just look at the class bit just for completeness. So it's still applicable, no issue. If I now get a block, noting that stereotype by block, and then go to apply the stereotype, now it won't let me do it. If I try to use this dialog, extends block, doesn't even offer it using that dialog. That's the issue. Okay, and we're just going to remove this inconsistent multiple stereotype. All right, just revisiting. I meant to do this earlier. I'm going to do it now because this point cannot be overemphasized. I'm deliberately doing it without any customization. Okay, so the known trick is to remove that, and then you can consistently apply it. All right, so far what we've been doing is not what you're supposed to do. So we've been doing it without the customization, deliberately. Now, I'm going to remove this from the diagram because we in fact don't have both stereotypes applied to it anymore. It will affect it. Okay, so let's look at what you're meant to do. This is firstly not customized, so it will not be treated as a new element. It won't appear as a new element in the menus. If I go here to refactor, convert to, I can go to more specific, extends block. And if I do that, you'll see the stereotypes that in fact block does not appear explicitly as an applied stereotype. If I look at specification, applied stereotypes, right, it only has the single applied stereotype. Okay, we're going to look at what happens when you have customization using the main specific language engine. So I have here, it might be a bit hard to see in the screencast, the stereotype block from SysML profile and the customization, which is under the MD customization for SysML. Now, I'm not going to look at all these different aspects, and block gets some special treatment in the tool anyway, under the hood. But we're going to look at this one, hide meta type. So you see the behavior is different when we create the customization for it. So if we go extend block, the convention is that you have the customization the same name as the stereotype. You can make that the customization target by putting it on there, and we're going to hide the meta type true. Now, it's not documented here, but you can find documentation online here. Hide metatype indicates whether the customized stereotype is recognized as a new type. If the hide metatype property is false, the TSL element is not considered as a new type element and will not be displayed in the shortcut menus. Okay, now just setting the hide metatype true is not sufficient for it to appear in context menus. You also have to put it under possible owners. You have to actually specify some things that could own it. So, for example, you might make it package. I'll put in block as well. Model. Okay, that'll do to get the idea. Right, so if I select those in the containment tree, the element should now be offered as a new element in the context menu. Now, whenever you do customization, you have to close it. So close project. Okay, so for a moment. Okay, so if I go to this model under create element, it now has, what don't we have here? There it is, extends block. There we go. It's when they talk about the context menu in the in that MagicDraw online guide, they're not very specific, but that's an example of it appearing in the context menu. You should actually be able to do it also on a block. So I'll just get any old block. Okay. If I select it in the containment tree, right click, there you go, extends block. And my extend child. Okay, one subtle little matter. I've got all the colors turned off, as I always recommend for all my blocks. But in the browser, it uses these colors that are applied in the tool and also in these menu items. And it's a little disconcerting that the custom block extension doesn't have the same color as the others. You see, it's the brownie color that's by default used in MagicDraw SysML, and it's the orangey color, which is by default used for a UML class. But you can, in fact, see that it is behaving as a block. It has the block compartments. So you can do everything that you would do with a block, you can do with your extension type. So far, we've only looked at setting hide meta type, the customization target, which we did by drag and drop, and the possible owners on the customization. It's a good idea, if you do this, to have a look at some of the existing extensions. If you've read the SysML spec and looked at the sample problems, you'll have no doubt seen these guys: domain, external, subsystem, system context, and system. And it's instructive to have a look at how it has been handled together with its customization. So, for example, if I go here, domain, what we're going to do is we're going to make a little ladder, a stereotype and customization rectangle. So let's have to shrink that in. I appreciate these tagged values here are causing a little clutter, but for the moment we want to leave them in. Right, so just ignore our own one for the moment because we're going to tidy that up. Let's just get the rectangle in place so you can see what I mean. That's the stereotype extension domain and the customization. I'll just move these out of the way for a second so we can play with it. Okay, this is what I'm referring to as the rectangular ladder. The customization for block has a relationship to block as the customization for domain has to domain. And you'll see also it's inheriting some of the things we set on here. So rather than setting them on here, we'll simply inherit, for example, the possible owners package, model, profile, and block. So let's just do that first. Remove, remove, remove. Okay, so let's look at some other aspects we may wish to mimic. The keyword is how the stereotype displays when applied on an element symbol. And this is also useful. The category other blocks. That gives grouping in the menu for creating an element on a package or model or block in the model browser. So first, let's just firstly extend there. I'll put this guy over here too so we can get the pattern going. Let's remove that for the moment. Okay, so right, on this guy, let's set firstly the category. My blocks. I also want to set keyword. I'm going to deliberately do a strange one because we don't want to clash with extends, which is used elsewhere in the meta model. So we now, as always, have to close. So first, and then reopen that project. Okay, so let's have a look now at, do it from this diagram. First, we'll have a look in the model browser. So if I now go create element, if you look at the groupings, we now have a group my blocks. So I can just choose that. And the keyword is now extender, although the stereotype name is extends block. Okay, there's an issue or a concern that I have encountered many times and other users I've worked with have encountered. However, I cannot reproduce it today. In German, there's a word, the Vorführeffekt. When you want to present something, it goes wrong. In my case, I have something that is wrong that I can't present. the thing that sometimes can happen if you don't follow the procedure exactly as shown is you can get it so that the SysML compartments are not available on your extension. I don't know whether it has been fixed perhaps in Service Pack 1 or Service Pack 2 for MagicDraw SysML 19 or Cameo Systems Modeler 19. Maybe. In any case, just be careful to follow the procedure. So if we go back to a profile, make sure that your extension extends block. Make sure in the customization that you extend the block customization with your extension. Make sure that hide meta type is explicitly true on your customization. Make sure that you always close and reopen your project after creating or changing a customization. If you do that, you should be able to then apply your extended stereotype and still have block behavior. Okay, the following is truly an advanced matter. If you don't understand it, don't worry. If you never see it, don't worry. But I'm going to show you that there's an important constraint on blocks, and you can in fact break it in the tool if you are very sneaky. So the basic idea is any classifier that specializes a block shall also have the block stereotype or one of its specializations applied. So let's have a look what it's saying. In the first case, we could just have a regular block that is a specialization of a super block. Now, let's look at an example with a specialization. If we take, for example, the domain extension, I might call that for the moment subdom, generalization, like that, that is consistent because domain is a specialization of a block stereotype, so that's okay. The same is true with ours. Our extension 1, we can get it from there. Now, just beware, this name extends block for our stereotype, and the keyword extender might make this confusing. Of course, they're referring to extensions of the stereotype. Here we're talking about using a generalization relationship, so more general and special. So for the moment, let's call this sub-extender. So we're interested in the sub part. And up here, I'll put it there. Oops. All right. Let's tidy them up a bit. Make a room. Okay. That's also consistent because our stereotype is a specialization of the block stereotype. However, we can be sneaky. Okay, we're going to create subclass in a class diagram, which is basically cheating because we're meant to be doing SysML here. I can in fact get that onto this diagram. I can then create a generalization to super, and the validation engine, as far as I can tell, does not fire. So that breaks the rules. This is a classifier that specializes a block and does not have the block stereotype or one of its specializations applied. It is wrong. All right, you're almost certainly never going to encounter this problem. If you stay in your SysML user interface space, you'll be protected from the mistake. So just to show you that it can happen. But it is important to understand this constraint, because one of the issues with creating extensions of block is you can be tempted to start using them everywhere. But if you do, you have to be careful when you're dealing with generalization and blocks that are stereotyped by your extension, because this rule is a special, tricky rule that applies to block but does not immediately apply to your extension. Okay, I hope this was useful and helped you avoid some trouble creating your own block stereotype extension. You can, of course, contact me to inquire about SysML training via the Webel site.